Our next performer has toured with superstars from Eric Clapton, Michael Jackson to Julio Iglesias, and has been a favorite on The Tonight Show. In fact, Jay Leno has called him one of the brightest comedians around. So please welcome, ladies and gentlemen, Chris Bliss.
Turned 50 not long ago. I didn't think it was going to bother me either. There's no other birthday'd ever bother me, and I was willing to go with what your friends will all say. Hey, Chris, it doesn't mean a damn thing. It's all in your mind. It's just a number. You're as old as you feel. 3 days after my 50th birthday, I'm walking to the club that I'm working at. An SUV rolls by, the window rolls down, and a teenager stares straight at me and goes, "I see dead people." I was going to flip him off, but the arthritis kept my elbow from coming up in time, and can't believe that. Although I actually feel pretty good at 50, and there's a reason for that. It's because I did not make a mistake I see so many young men making these days. And you young men in the audience tonight, don't make this mistake. Don't get in shape too early. Sounds healthy, but psychologically a bad move. If you're ripped in your mid-20s, by the time you hit 30, the decline starts. By the time you hit 40, it's straight downhill. By the time you're 50, you're in the worst shape you've ever been in. Party through your 20s, party through your 30s, right up until that day in your mid-40s when you get that palpitation that scares the crap out of you. That's what the gym is for. I don't think there's any place for racism in a great country like the United States. Except, of course, that in an emergency it will get us out of jury duty. Which is fair because it works the same way for all of us. They call you for jury duty, you can't get out of court, go down to the courthouse. As soon as they start asking you the jury questions, just jump out of the chair. What kind of case am I going to get? Is it a murder case? A murder case? Am I going to get to fry somebody? What color is he? They'll send you home. They'll never call you for jury duty again. Except in Texas, where they'll make you the judge.
Thank you so much.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Chris Bliss.
That was already the longest drive of my life, 400 miles across the desert, the same day that Kurt Cobain from the rock group Nirvana commits suicide. So every time that I find a radio station, they're in the middle of a tribute to Nirvana. 400 miles. Here's another tribute to Nirvana. By the time I hit the 200-mile mark, I was thinking, man, that is sad. At least when John Lennon died, they could play more than 8 songs. I sure hope I'm not stuck in this car the day that Billy Ray Cyrus buys the farm. And now they got video phones showing up. That's great. Anybody want the video phone? Not many people. And I thought about this. It's not just the obvious loss of privacy. You know what the worst thing's going to be when we all have video phones? You are going to have to look like you're interested in what everyone's saying to you. Some of you will never work again.
Please welcome your host, Chris Bliss.
Well, let me begin a less formal welcome. Let me welcome you all here to the 2006 EMC kickoff. This is a very important meeting, as you know. This is the first global kickoff meeting for EMC in 3 years after a series of important acquisitions. So how many of you were not a part of EMC 3 years ago? Please applaud if you were not a part of EMC 3 years ago. Right there, I think that is your first great opportunity at this meeting to expand and increase the flow of information across that analog interface, both inside and outside of these meeting halls here. And that's what I'm here for, to help the flow of information just keep moving during these sessions here. My name is Chris Bliss, and I will be your host and MC for most of these sessions. And for the last 20 years, I've made my living primarily as a stand-up comedian. I've performed at pretty much every kind of event that you can imagine. I've done national television appearances on The Tonight Show. I've done international comedy festivals in Canada, Ireland, the UK, and Australia. I've opened in major concert venues like this one for Eric Clapton and Julio Iglesias and other superstars. I've even done a stadium tour. I performed at 55 sold-out shows as the exclusive opening act for the king of pop, Michael Jackson, and face it, who would make up that credit at this point in time? All told, I performed in over 25 countries on 4 different continents, and I realized that that's not quite as impressive a resume as EMC, but hey, I'm just one guy, and you are nearly 6,000 strong out here today. You are 6,000 strong out here today, aren't you? Get that energy going. I've also performed at hundreds of corporate events, the most memorable of which was in the year 2000. I performed at an event at the corporate headquarters of an energy colossus called Enron. And who would make up that credit at this point in time? It was a memorable meeting. I always remember it because all the top executives of the company came riding into the atrium at the Enron building on Harley Davidsons. They were dressed head to toe in black leather. They rode through the 2,500 employees, up a ramp onto the stage. The place went crazy, of course. And after the event, and I'm not making this up, after the event, the CEO of the company actually told me that the best thing I could possibly do with my check was to go out and buy Enron stock with it. I didn't feel comfortable about that, so instead I called my broker and I told her to buy WorldCom. And the most interesting thing of it is that I didn't find out until I was reading transcripts from the bankruptcy hearings that I was actually paid $12.5 million for that event. But the real point of it is that you're not going to get any of that kind of nonsense during these meetings here in Las Vegas. And the reason you're not going to get any of that kind of nonsense is if there's one thing I've learned from my conversations with your executives is that these guys are serious. They're serious about winning, and they're serious about winning the old-fashioned way by outthinking, outplanning, and outperforming the competition. Every one of these sessions here has been designed to give you the information that you have been asking for from every key constituency. Whether it's your clients' changing needs, your product portfolio's expanding capabilities, or simply a greater understanding of the viewpoint and vision that is driving this company forward. Every speaker that you're going to hear on this stage has just one goal in mind, and that is to make sure to give you the tools to maximize your opportunity for success. And that's because they all understand the one central truth, and that's that the true power of EMC is our people.